All right, guys, it's Dave here from Roos, and I'm joined with John Tardy of Obituary. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing great, man. Looking forward to coming down there and seeing you guys.
It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. I've got tickets, so I'll be seeing you
Cool.
Sydney.
All right.
Cool. So you've got a massive 2024 coming up. I kind of had a look at your site and stuff like that, obviously, but you got Australia and Japan for your Barely Alive tour.
Yep.
And then I just seen you guys announced with the Giants of Monomath and Cannibal Corpse. That's
Yep.
the Metal Crushes all. How does it feel? That's going to be
How cool is
huge.
that?
Ah,
Yeah, I
mate.
mean, wish we were doing the whole world. Wish we were doing the whole world with that, but
Ah,
we'll settle for doing it in America.
yeah. Yeah, of course. It's obviously easier to tour
Yeah.
America, being from there.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
good
Well,
that you're
we
coming.
we did some shows with the Monomarth. I mean, several, a long time ago, come in 10 years ago, and just really got along well with those guys. We really had a good time. They're so cool. And then we've been fortunate enough now to do a couple of tours with them,
Yeah,
and
amazing.
just couldn't be more excited, man. They're so cool. They're so nice, and it's a lot of fun for us. So
Yeah, yeah. Awesome band. And Cannibal Corpse, have you've toured with before?
yeah, screw them guys. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
In fact, I was just hanging out with George at Exodus concert a couple weeks ago. He and I were sitting out there, throwing back some cool ones and doing some shots of tequila and watching
Uh,
Exodus. So that was fun too. But no, I'm obviously good friends of ours. We've known them for a long time. So we haven't toured that many times with them. So
yep.
once again, it'd be nice to get on the road and uh,
Yeah, with those
and
guys.
do that. But it's just
Uh,
fun when you got a lot of cool bands. It just makes for a good night for everybody.
hell yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it kind of leads into my first question. So I want to kind of start early with Obituary and not too kind of in depth or whatever, but I'm super interested in the whole like where it started and that kind of stuff. So
Sure.
that kind of early death metal scene in Florida.
All right.
Um, so since kind of joining, well, starting Obituary at its inception, did you anticipate the band's kind of success and that whole Tampa scene, that early scene? Was it kind of, did it blow your mind, or did you kind of foresee that, and how did that kind of happen?
Wow. Uh, God, where do I start here?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
obviously, I don't know if any band expects to be doing music as long as we've been doing it. We've been really fortunate, and with the success that we've had. I mean, our new album is done just as well as just about anything we've ever done. And
that's
the
awesome.
offers that we're getting from these Amon and Mark tours to the Sepul tours that we're getting ready to do, lots of good offers. So things are going really good for us,
Yep.
and really fortunate. So I would never have thought that when we first started that we would still be doing this, but early on for us, I remember we were just so happy to get off the bus, me, Don, and Trevor, go into our garage and just start jamming,
Yep.
that we never really thought about even doing shows or recording records, or we were really just so content sitting there in the garage for so long,
Yep.
and just never really did anything when Roadrunner approached us and wanted to do a record.
Yep.
So we were just like, we were caught off guard, and just never
Like,
had thought about it and planned on it. And so it was kind of really strange, to get thrown in there.
yeah.
And slowly we were all still young, still in high school, and uh, we never really did any touring or anything with that album, just because it just kind of got thrown on us, so we really had no idea what to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but once we got that shot of that first record, we had so much fun doing it, and it seems like Cause of Death came out relatively quick after that,
Yep.
and that's really when the touring started for us.
Yeah.
And then like I said, just to be doing it for this long, we're real fortunate. It's really cool.
And it didn't really stop. Like you had that kind of break in the middle. Was it 6 years?
Yeah, we did.
Better.
We took a long break before Frozen in Time, and we took a long break before Back from the Dead.
Okay. Yeah.
Neither one of them are necessarily planned. It's just kind of the way it works out. And it's just kind of the way we do things. We don't feel like we have to do an album every other year or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, hell, it just seems like our album cycles take us 3, 4 years just to get and cover all the areas and all the touring that we wanted to do.
Of
that
course.
album. To get everywhere and cover the whole globe, it just takes us that long nowadays.
Yep.
And we like to take our time with the albums. The songs. We're kind of always fidgeting with music all the time and stacking files and ideas on the Pro Tools. And
Yep.
then when it's time to write, we just like kind of dig back in there and start pulling out all those things we've been messing with
Yeah,
and
that's
putting
right.
stuff together from there. So
And you keep your sound, Obituary sound. It's kind of I guess translate it to AC/DC.
yeah,
Like you guys you can always tell it's you. You can always tell there's a great formula, and it seems to,
well,
even though things change, but it always seems to, it's another Obituary album. And I mean
I
that
mean
in,
that's yeah, I mean, I would, and that's a call. I mean, I do certainly appreciate that very much. Um, it's one of those things that you can't really say, hey, we want to try and develop this sound kind of thing. It's really just kind of what happened when we turned our stuff on, and especially me, Donald, and Trevor together from a long time. It's just kind of the way it came out sounding.
yep,
Like I said, we haven't really tinkered with it too much. Different albums come through. You shift a little bit here and there. Like maybe World Demise had some kind of different stuff thrown at it. The
yep,
Cause of Death stuff. We did all the intros in between. I think the new album's just got a wide variety of songs,
it does. Yeah,
which
yeah,
I think it kind of goes back a little bit to the fact that we're always tinkering with songs, and
yep,
we're doing that for 3 or 4 years. So some of those songs may have at least the ideas and some of the key rhythms. They could have been 3 or 4 years old
yep.
before we get to start recording them. And I think that's a good formula for us. And I think it's just nice that the album goes through a wider range of songs, and writing stuff. And then we've also now written two of the new songs are written with Kenny. And Ken's been around for a long time doing a lot of guitar stuff, but he hasn't been in a whole lot of bands, hasn't written a whole lot of music with bands. So it was really fun for me and Donald to sit down with Ken and come up with some of his ideas, and work with it, and it's a little different from us because we're always been writing with, pretty much the same. I mean, me and Trevor and Donald and me, Trevor and Alan West, obviously for a long time wrote a lot of music together. But when you sit down with somebody new, you approach things a little bit differently, which is, I
Yeah,
think,
new
is a
things
good
come
thing.
out.
It's a good thing, and I think Kenny does a good job of sitting there. He listens to a lot of our input, and takes it well and works with it well. So I think it's pretty cool.
So I think he do two songs on the new album?
He did two of the songs.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
It's weird, and one of them actually wound up being the title track. But
Yeah,
I don't think we've ever written an album and had a song that came up, and we're like, man, that's got to be the title track because of the music. It just always winds up being what sounds the coolest and what song kind of comes up with the cool song title.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
maybe a
That's
lot of people think differently about that, or they put a lot into this must be the title track. It's got to be the best song. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But for us anyway, just kind of what kind of winds up being a catchy song title and something we can build off some artwork around and
yeah,
work
for
with it
sure.
like that. So, but it's cool that it was Ken's song that got, that kind of worked its way into that Dying of
Yeah,
Everything. So,
yeah, that's amazing. Um, so another thing did a bit of research, obviously, into other interviews you've done and stuff like that. But your your vocal technique has been hit on a few times. Um, so for me, I've always like listened to you guys for years. You can always know it's you. Um, which is again, I think that's an amazing thing. Um, in the early days, it was kind of described as more sounds than kind of a vocal technique. And I think I heard you say that kind of thing, but seems to have got more kind of intricate over the years. Has that been something you've pushed towards, or how has that kind of
yeah,
happened?
that and this is like the second time you commented, and I appreciate your comments on the originality of what it sounds like.
Yeah,
And that's not really vocally. It's not anything. Once again, I don't think unless people are really good at what they do, can kind of just develop, think in their mind what they want their voice to sound like, come out and sound that way. It's just kind of the way when I started singing, started
it's
getting
just the
into
way
it,
it
and it's
happened.
just it's just kind of what naturally goes like,
Yeah.
even both AC/DC singers, you'd have a tough time duplicating what they do.
Yeah.
Both of them do a great job, and they sound real original. And there's no better compliment than that. I mean, I listen to lots of different music, a lot
Yeah.
of blues, a lot of country, a lot of southern rock, a lot of everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a big thing for the bands that I listen to the most is that originality.
Yep.
It's just, you don't want to hear just, a band that just sounds like the other bands. A lot of them can pile on there and start sounding like them. And those are bands I will listen less and less to. I like to get right to the root source if I'm going to listen to it and go with it. So,
yeah, hence where the
but
blues and
me early on, it just with the lyrics, um, I think what was weird about it is when the three of us started jamming. I mean, I think the original thought was they were, Donald and Trevor were going to look for a singer, is what it was. Donald always loved his drums. We didn't have a drum set at the beginning. We had to go borrow a friend's drum set. Trevor did go buy a guitar, didn't know how to play the thing.
Yeah.
But they just started learning together, and neither one of them were really good enough. So we didn't play a lot of cover songs. I think a lot of bands sit down and they immediately play cover songs.
Yeah.
We immediately weren't good enough to play cover songs. And
so
we just immediately start writing up just caveman riffs and things like that and going for it. So because I was just always there, it's at my house and in the studio, and I'm just hanging out and usually, helping, doing whatever we do, I just would start singing. Early on, those influences with Nasty Savage and Sabotage, those are really the guys that got us into wanting to jam. They really opened our eyes. But it's really kind of what turned us to what we wanted to do. But like I said, getting off track a little bit. But early on, I think because I don't know if I really even planned on singing the songs, and because they were just kind of making it up, and I just started singing, going along with them. There was a lot of places where I just kind of started making some noises and sounds and syllables to make things work. And never wrote it down. But that quickly gets weird when you get into a studio or even start playing live, that you now have to duplicate those sounds that really aren't words. So I think it was just a natural evolution. And I think every album, obviously I started writing more and more lyrics too, because of that. But early on, it wasn't the most comfortable thing for me to do either, is come up with lyrics to have something to say. A lot of bands maybe have some political views they like to go after, or even some satanic views, especially early on with the things, if that's what they wanted to do. And that wasn't, neither one of those really interested, us or me in doing it. So, it was also, it took me a while to kind of get my footing of what I like to do and sing about. And I think with the newest record, it was really some of the best lyric stuff that I've did. And maybe because I'm more and more comfortable with what I'm writing and like what I'm doing, that I've kind of found myself.
Sorry, you dropped again. There you
go. I think it's just a natural progression of the way things go for me. So
yeah, for sure. So Obituary is kind of recognized as one of the pioneers of death metal, especially in that Tampa scene. One thing I love that you just said as well, and I read in another interview, was all started in your mum's garage. And I think, we all started there, I guess. But
oh yeah,
I love that, the size that you guys are and what you've done. And I love hearing still that, started in my mum's
man.
garage.
I remember we had to pull the car out, and then we found some carpet pieces, and we would start tying them up to to form a smaller room inside of there to keep the noise down,
stop the reverb.
And then we literally, I remember, I think DT literally his first drum kit, we were driven by somebody's house and they had some drum pieces they were thrown out in the garbage, and we took them all home, and that was like our first step. We started picking together. And that's just but that was just the dedication that we had as young kids and really wanting to do it.
Put gaff tape all over the skins.
Yeah,
so it doesn't ring out.
We used to always, even when we did kind of start play somebody's party down the street, we would literally go and try to build our own stage. We would try and get some cinder blocks and some wood to build a stage. We would literally get some coffee cans and lights and made a little light board, and and we would always just, it was never let's go find this or buy this or whatever. It was just, what do we have around here that we can make work,
Yeah.
And to this day, that's just kind of the way we approach things. We enjoy being hands on with what we do. We manage ourselves. We run our own company. We sell our own merch. We do everything
Okay.
ourselves. But
Yep.
booking shows is about the only thing that.
So just elaborating on that a bit, so kind of looking at your Spotify plays,
Yeah.
there's still obviously massive 290,000 monthly listens, which is awesome. And
Wow.
kind of coming on that, or that's here, I guess. I'm not sure if that's. Oh
I'd
no,
be
that'd be
honest with you.
worldwide.
Yeah, I mean, those are things that I never even bother looking at those things. Spotify, I'm not quite sure
Yeah,
how they get away with
how they
paying
do it.
what they do. They do, but
Yeah,
that's the
that
way that goes. I won't really get
yeah,
into that too much. But
that's another
um,
2 hour
if you say that's
session.
a good number, I honestly, I'm really not even sure what to expect of that. So,
Yeah. So like I kind of the way I see that, and like a real upside to that is you would have some kind of new kids coming in and playing in their mum's garage and that kind of thing, and being inspired by you guys from how many years ago, and doing the same thing. For me, that would be really inspirational. How does that kind of feel?
no, I'd be honest with you, if we didn't have the amount of young kids coming out to our shows, and I mean, there's been lots of them.
Yep.
It's what keeps you alive.
Yep.
You can't just entertain the same fans as everybody gets older and older and moves
Yep.
on. You have to have that next generation of fan. And it's really it's what keeps us going. I'll be honest with you.
Yep.
It's that cool to see. And there's been that much influx of new kids that it's just been awesome to see.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Amazing. Hey. Um, so going to we have a lot of musicians and that kind of listen. I don't know how involved you are with like tuning and stuff like that of guitars and bass, and what tuning do you guys run for Obituary? Do you know?
we tune the D.
Okay, yep.
Yep.
So D
Yeah,
standard.
and I think I want to say I don't think slowly. I think slowly was tuned to E. It always makes it challenging when you go back to learn a song, and it's tuned differently for those guys to pick out.
Yep,
And yes, we don't sit around and listen to our albums all day long.
of course.
So a lot of times, if we go back to the catalog and coming up
You
with
have to
set lists,
relearn it.
and they kind of got to repick them out and learn them. And I think that was the only album that wasn't tuned to D. But after that, it was probably because of Celtic Frost or something, I guess, maybe. But we definitely do step down, I think, one time, I think you call that. So the tune to D.
Yep. All right. So you guys were last here in 2020. Is that right? I'm pretty sure I read
Sounds
that.
about right. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
right before the pandemic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was very
Which
close and everything started shutting down. So
yeah, which is absolutely crazy. That's kind of where I was headed. Um, what did you guys kind of do in that time?
yeah,
You wrote
yeah,
this album, didn't you?
yeah. I mean, it was kind of crazy because I mean, it seems like we were one of those bands. We were like one of the last bands on the road. We came back from Australia, um, and like I remember landing in San Francisco, and they were like taking temperatures and things like that. And we had a Black Label Society tour set up that was kicking off very close after that, and we immediately got on that, but we only got part of the way through that yeah, before basically everything
Cut
got
it.
shut down. So
Yeah,
we were shut down just like everybody. So we were
yeah, yeah,
home for like 2 years.
yeah,
Um, and we kept ourselves busy. I mean, we redid our studio. We bought a
yeah,
whole new Pro Tools rig and things like that. Updated. Everything was getting pretty old, so we took use of the time off
yeah.
and did all that. We then got into doing some live streams. I don't know if you saw any of those,
I didn't
but
actually, but yeah,
those, yeah, you could probably. It's a lot of fun. I mean, the first ones we did, we went to an actual studio place and did them, and then we
yeah.
wound up doing them right here in our garage. And we now have it set up that we can broadcast and go live with about 8 cameras
Anytime.
right in our own studio, and it sounds so killer, and it's so fun because we're just barefoot and doing what we do on a regular basis. So I think the kids, they actually like that more than the ones that we paid all the money to do.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
right. More real.
nowadays it's much more personal, I guess, and just fun to see what we actually do. And that basically what it was. But hey, a couple of those live streams went a long way. We learned how to learn how to do all that stuff ourselves. So nowadays we can just kind of do, we can go live to the world anytime we want.
Yeah.
And that was fun. And then we spent a lot of time working at the new album out. So, we started putting all those songs together. We did a lot of writing. We recorded everything. And of course we're looking at ourselves. God, we got plenty of time to sit and work on the record. Sure enough, we don't quite finish before we finished all the recording, but we're still mixing as we're on the road. We procrastinate.
Plans.
You think you got so much time. Next thing you know, we're sitting there trying to mix stuff while we're on the road with our sound guy. And that's just the way that went. But
it's still the music industry.
You still sit there and procrastinate, don't get anything done fast enough. But hey, what are you going to do?
Yeah, that's right. All right. So thanks heaps for your time.
Good.
Yeah, but I won't keep you too long. But is there anything you kind of want to say to the Australian fans? You got a massive fans down here. Anything you kind of want to say before you're out? Is it January? Yeah.
I know we fly out here January 2nd, and we start off with a few shows in New Zealand before we come over your way. So we'll be good, warmed up, and ready to go. God, I mean, we've only been down there maybe twice, I think.
Yep.
In our career.
It's a hard place to tour.
It's a tough place to get to. It is a long, miserable day, 30 hours plus the travel to get there in a whole 9 yards. But, hey, that's what we sign up to do, and that's what we do. But man, we honestly have a ton of fun when we get there. I mean, the Aussie kids they're so fun to be around. They're all so nice to us. Yeah. And it's just fun every day that we're down there and we get to hang out and do what we do. So
it is a cool part of the world.
Super looking forward to it for sure.
All right. Awesome. All right. Thanks for your time today. And, all right. Head on to Metal Roos for people watching.
All right.
Thanks heaps for your time.
All right. Thank you, brother. We'll appreciate you. Come hit us up. We'll have a beer when we come down there.
All right. Sounds great.
Cool. All right. Thank you.
See ya.
All right.